Am I the a-hole for letting my estranged wife deal with her choices? I got married back in early 2021. I, 26 male, married my partner at the time, 23 female, and I will just call her Kenna for the story. After about 6 months, Kenna started cheating on me with my coworker, 26 male, who was homeless and sleeping on my couch. When I caught them, she tried overdosing as I threw him out. Kenna was taken on a suicide hold and called me from the hospital and said she never loved me the way she loved him. At the time, I had a business developing with a friend across the country and decided to move. I started the divorce proceedings, but she refused to sign them several times, and they were dropped, all the while maintaining a relationship with him. After a year, the business I was a partner in took off, and we managed to sell to a bigger fish, and I went and started my dream career. Meanwhile, Kenna and a fair partner were trying to rub in how happy they were and antagonize me, yet she still refused the divorce. Kenna had no idea of my success, and I didn't tell her. Now this is where the title comes into play. About 8 months ago, I was hit and almost killed by an 18-year-old, texting and driving, and lost my eligibility to continue my career. The settlement just came in, and it's a life-changing amount of money, like pay off student loans and buy a house. Anyway, Kenna actually ended up having a kid with the affair partner, and he ended up beating her and cheating on her. So now she's a single mother living in her aunt's garage. I was talking to my friends, none of whom know her, and was telling them how karma is real because now I can divorce her and she gets absolutely nothing from the settlement. Only told them it's enough to pay off the rest of my student loans. Afterward, they started screaming at me for how I'm an a-hole for letting Kenna continue to struggle like that, knowing I can help her and her baby out of that situation. Please note that where I'm currently living, money from a settlement/inheritance is not a marital asset and not considered in divorce proceedings. So am I the a-hole for letting her live the life she set up for herself? Not the a-hole. Not your wife, not your kid, not your problem. They're free to help her themselves, of course. Depending on where you live, could be this problem. There was a post about a guy who never divorced his wife, but moved across the country and started a new life. I don't think either were dragging heels over the divorce. He came out as gay, or they wed knowing she was a beard, not sure on the specifics. It just seemed easier to continue as is, unless she wanted to get remarried, then they would expedite it. She had a kid, dad wasn't in the picture, and as he was still married, his name was on by default. But she never pressed him for money, etc. He only found out about his daughter when his still legally wife died and they needed to find a home for her. It worked out in the end, save for the mom. But her never divorcing Opie in this case has me thinking, how screwed over can she make him where they live? The money from the settlement is to take care of you and to try to make you whole from the physical and mental damages of the accident. The settlement is for your present and future care. 30 years after being harmed by a drunk/high driver, I have severe aches and pains that the settlement doesn't even come close to alleviating. 1. Please make an appointment with an attorney and find out your rights. 2. Your soon-to-be ex is not your responsibility, and neither is her lover's child. 3. Please make sure your name is not on the birth certificate. I know in my state the husband is automatically the dad of record, even with DNA evidence. Verify who is listed as the father. 4. Do not give her any money. Once you give her and her child money, you have accepted legal responsibility for that child. 5. Will these friends take care of you financially and medically when she plays the financial vampire? If your friends care so much, they can support her. Number 3 especially. I actually legally have a sister who is in no way related to me because of exactly this. My dad was estranged from his wife, both seeing different people, and she had a daughter shortly after my brother was born. And because they were still legally married, my dad was put on the birth certificate as her father even though he is not. Not only did a DNA test prove it, it was pretty obvious before the test. My dad was a blue-eyed blonde-haired white man, his estranged wife was a pasty white redhead with freckles, while my sister has caramel-colored skin, deep brown eyes, and raven black hair. Didn't matter in our state because they were still legally married, and my dad was put on the birth certificate by default, and my sister has his last name. Thankfully, this isn't a thing in my state. Info: have you checked to see if it's a thing in the state where your wife gave birth? I'm not calling her your ex, because she isn't. She's your wife. It's not a thing there either. Not the a-hole 100%. You need different friends, because these ones are idiots. I feel like these are women or moms who sympathize. Most men wouldn't let a cheat who banged their friend back into their lives. Now for the mini update. I have a lawyer, and we were just waiting to do a divorce by publication. I'm not the kid's legal father, and I just met the residency requirement in this state to file for a one-party divorce in the last 2 weeks. The main issue is that I can't locate her to serve her divorce papers and haven't been able to. So that makes things a bit tricky, but I've already contacted the lawyer prior to this post, and I'm in the clear legally regarding the sale of the business. The two of my friends that were screaming at me are in fact single moms, if that clarifies. And after reading your comments, I decided to cut them off. And to further clarify, I've moved to 4 different states since we separated due to my chosen career, and just recently I've met the residency requirement to file a one-way consent divorce, compared to an uncontested, which has less time needed. Her family is the same way, and wouldn't tell me a single thing. The only reason I know about the aunt, which by the way is a family friend not biological, is because my sister's acquaintance worked with my soon-to-be ex. Which is why I'm doing a divorce by publication. Am I the a-hole for telling my partner that I'm not sure what to do with her or our relationship after finding out she may potentially be pregnant with someone else's baby? For context, my partner, 21 female, and I, 22 male, have known each other for a little over 4 years now. We had a baby of our own near the end of our 2nd year mark. Unfortunately, the spark that was once there eventually died out, and we separated on the day of our 2-year mark. It wasn't the best of terms, but not horrible either, and I won't bore you with the details. She eventually started seeing other people, while I, on the other hand, haven't moved on from the breakup. I've tried inviting her many times to start over once more to no avail for the next 1.5 years. Then suddenly 3 weeks ago, she decided she wanted to work things out, which surprised me. I was excited and happy, as I had the chance to make things right with our little family, and somehow we ended up moving back together 1 week later. As soon as we moved in, we did the deed once, and since then, she hasn't been in the mood. I chalked it up to how maybe she isn't quite comfortable with me like that yet. 1 week later, she mentioned how she wants to elope and not tell anyone we know, to which I told her I'm not ready. I fought so long for this chance, and I didn't want to rush to the altar. 2 days ago, we found out she was pregnant. The last and only time we did it was a little over 1.5 weeks ago. I implied that I found it weird that she was pregnant so quickly after such a short period of time. She said, "Well, it's yours." I had my doubts, but decided to ignore them for now and try to enjoy the pregnancy. However, tonight she said, "I just remembered that I slept with someone 3 to 4 weeks before we decided to get back together. Now I'm stuck here in a confused and dazed state, not knowing what to do next. I'm thinking about whether she came back to me as some sort of support or if she loves me at all and is just picking the safe option, as she is sure that the possible father will want nothing to do with this child. I don't know if I can believe her after this. I know she didn't necessarily do anything wrong, as we were separated at the time. But I can't shake off these feelings of disgust and betrayal right now. She was quite upset with the fact that I told her that this upset me and that I wasn't sure what to do with our relationship moving forward, even though I was the one who fought so hard for this second chance at our relationship. I'm just looking for advice, I guess. Not the a-hole, she's using you just to take care of a baby that isn't yours. It's not worth it. Don't stay with her. You'll find someone new that is better and won't use you and actually loves you. Leave her. For real, OP, that's not how babies work. You don't do the deed and boom, a 1.5 weeks later you're pregnant. Even if she ovulated the day you did it, it takes the majority of women 8 to 10 days to get pregnant or the egg to implant, and at least 1 to 2 more to register, even on the most sensitive of tests. And those first lines are faint. So the odds of it actually being your child are slim to none, and she would have had to be testing for pregnancy before she even missed her period. Which, if you aren't actively trying for a baby, there's really no reason to. She's using you. Don't claim the baby, and if she insists, then ask for a paternity test. That was my first thought as well. Like they are about 3 weeks back together, and she is suddenly pregnant? And let's not forget, wants to elope ASAP. She knew already she was pregnant. She just wants a daddy to raise the kid or get monetary support from. I don't believe the baby is OP's. Long update. I genuinely didn't expect so much support so quickly. I was honestly anticipating only a few helpful words by the end of the day, but I appreciate everyone who took the time to say something. We discussed our relationship's murky situation in more detail, including my feelings and fears about the situation. I brought it to her attention that I may not be seeing the situation truthfully, as I have filtered glasses when it comes to her. I explained that I absolutely want a paternity test for the unborn child as soon as possible, and to my surprise, she immediately agreed. She told me that she was seeing someone about 6 months ago, and whether or not I want to believe it, they broke up 3 months before we got back together. She admitted that the potential father is someone else entirely that I didn't know about. I told her that what she did was hurtful and deceitful, and I no longer want to discuss this issue until the paternity test is done. Logically, I should leave, and many of you predicted that she would respond by saying, "Don't you trust me?" or something similar. While she did agree to the paternity test right away, she accused me of making this all about myself, even though she's the one who has to worry about the pregnancy, and whether or not the biological father should be present during labor. I love this woman deeply, and if she had this child before we got back together, I wouldn't have been bothered. But for a moment, I believed that the baby was mine, only to find out it was a lie. I haven't told her yet, but I plan to schedule an appointment for a paternity test for my 2-year-old as well, as the doubt has taken root in me. Whatever happens, I hope that both children are mine, and I hope I was just insecure, as she suggested. However, I no longer want to live with doubt. I need genuine and truthful answers. I don't know if I can leave her, as I have worked so hard to give us another chance, but I also know that the dishonesty and breach of trust may make it impossible for us to keep growing together. All I want is for myself and my child to feel wanted, not just needed out of necessity, whether it's with her or someone else entirely. Am I the a-hole for yelling at my boyfriend's ex-wife? For a bit of backstory, I, 25 female, met my now boyfriend, 35 male, 2 years ago. He got married to Eve, 38 female, after she got pregnant at 18. They were high school sweethearts. Eve cheated on my boyfriend, but they decided to try and work it out and go to couples counseling. Yet this didn't stop Eve from cheating again, with one of her daughter's coworkers nonetheless. And her reasoning for this was that she was dissatisfied with their intimate life. I met my boyfriend through a mutual friend at the time he discovered the affair. We decided to take things slow, understandably, but after 6 months, he divorced Eve and we started to date officially. My boyfriend's daughter Jane, 20 female, and I became very close, all things considered. She didn't have the best relationship with her mother, even going no contact after the divorce was finalized. But a couple of months ago, they rekindled their relationship. A couple of days ago, Jane threw a family dinner celebration at our place, and she invited her mom, whom I never met properly. When she arrived, I greeted her. She asked if I was one of Jane's friend, and I told her I was her ex's new girlfriend. After which she became a little catatonic. During dinner, things were relatively okay, with some backhanded remarks from Eve. From what I was wearing, to my makeup and my profession, I'm a seamstress. They went from the usual, "I love your confidence," to, "I love what you're wearing, I would have never guessed you'd be that good at sewing," and so on. I decided to ignore her, as I thought she wasn't worth the energy. When the cake came out, I decided to make a toast to Jane that I prepared beforehand, where I basically said that she wasn't just my boyfriend's daughter, but a great friend and a great person. And she was a reason my last 2 years were amazing. When I said that, Eve did some math and realized that I met my now boyfriend when they were separating. And not even 2 seconds after I finished, Eve stood up to make her own toast, talking about how Jane decided to stop talking to her in favor of a home-wrecking woman who needed a married man to feel satisfied. That's when I lost it. My boyfriend grabbed my hand and was going to stand up and make her leave. But before he could get up, I started to laugh hysterically and told Eve that she was nothing but a stupid whore who wrecked her own home, who sacrificed her husband and daughter for a barely legal guy that most likely gave her attention just because of a cougar kink, and that she's just jealous that the people she made miserable are finally happy. Needless to say, the dinner ended soon after. The next day, I called Jane to apologize. After all, it was her birthday. But she said she understood why I reacted that way, and that she will most likely cut contact with her mom again. After she said that, I felt super guilty. Not only for Jane, but also because I shamed her. I don't know, I just can't help but feel a little guilty. So am I the a-hole? Edit. Thanks for the support, though I come here to explain some things more in detail. Eve and my boyfriend didn't get married until after he finished high school. Eve didn't have a full-blown relationship with Jane's friend, it was more like a random one-night stand. Like I explained in a comment, my boyfriend and Eve were separated, then I met him and didn't even consider dating for a while. Jane asked both me and her dad if Eve could come, and we both told her that she's her mother, so it was up to her if she wanted her there or not. Jane told her mom that her dad's new girlfriend was going to be there, but didn't give any other details. Me and Jane spent a lot of time together, reasonably. I apologized once again and told her that she shouldn't feel responsible for her mom's bad behavior, and we decided to leave it at that, and seeing it as a moment that brought us even closer together. Not the a-hole, she was being rude all evening. If she had wanted a civil evening celebrating her daughter, she wouldn't have done any of that. As far as her mental arithmetic and figuring out when you started dating your boyfriend, I did some maths of my own. She got pregnant by a 14 or 15-year-old child when she was 17 or 18. And then she went after her own child's peers 2 years ago. Another child or barely legal adult. This woman is a straight-up predator. Mind yourself around her. She has zero scruples and obviously doesn't give a hoot what people think of her behavior. Make sure you don't have a target on your back, and show any younger relatives of yours her picture and description to be wary of her too. Yeah, 18 and 36 is just crazy. Thank God I am the youngest of my relatives. Not the a-hole. While your outburst may not have been the best way to react, it's understandable given the circumstances. Eve consistently cheated on your boyfriend, causing significant pain and leading to their divorce. She also made backhanded remarks during the dinner, which were uncalled for and disrespectful. When she started accusing you of being a homewrecker, it's no surprise that you reached your breaking point. It's important to remember that you were put in a difficult situation. Eve's actions directly impacted your relationship with your boyfriend, and her behavior during the dinner was not something that's okay. It's natural to feel a mix of emotions afterwards, including guilt, but in that situation, Eve's actions and words were uncalled for. It sucks that Jane may cut contact with her mother again, but it seems she understands why you reacted the way you did. Keep communicating with Jane and supporting her through this process. Remember to apologize to her for any discomfort caused during her birthday celebration, and continue to foster your positive relationship with her. Wow, this almost made me cry, thank you. But yeah, me and Jane are basically attached at the hips, and I already told her that her relationship with her mom is none of my business, but I'll always support her decision.